So if you guys are wondering why I've been slack on uploading videos, it's because I'm installing a pallet system for a horizontal machine at one of my customers. And this is just, it's kicking my ass because of how physically demanding this is. It's an 8-station pallet system with a robot. That robot right there travels down this track system and then picks up these pallets and loads them into the machine over here. And then the machine will take it in and do all the cutting and everything. So I've already been working on this for about a week and a half. I still got about another 2 weeks left of working on this thing. So it's really wearing me down to where I don't have enough energy or time when I get home to focus on doing the cars and stuff. So this is why my videos are a little slack right now, because I've still got all of that stuff right there. That's the wall that builds around it. I've still got coolant tracks. I still got to do all the wiring for it. So, I mean, I still got a lot of work to do this thing, and it's extremely physical demanding. So, my video uploads for the cars may be a little lax here over the next couple days, but this is why. All right, what's up, everybody? So, on this video, I'm going to continue the reassembly of the engine for the IS300, the 1UZ 4.0. And I started to thinking about what I've been showing in the last couple videos, and I haven't really been getting into like super great detail on a lot of the stuff that I've been doing, which I guess I should, because that's kind of the whole premise of these videos, is to show the details of what needs to be done. So I'm during the reassembly process of this engine, I'm gonna videotape everything. I'll probably edit a bunch of it out, but I'm still gonna videotape everything, and I'll try and include all the key information, torque specs, things of that nature, time marks, all that kind of stuff. But usually during disassembly, there's nothing really special, and if there is, I'll usually stop the video, or I'll stop what I'm doing and video what is difficult, so that I can show everybody what's going on. The Audi, I knew every last little detail of that car without even having to think about it. So it was a little easier making those videos as far as areas of concerns. But the Lexus, I'm not as familiar with the platform as I am the Audis. Now, most of the wiring, the electrical components, the mechanics and all that kind of stuff are basically similar. Now, you're going to have differences from platform to platform, but overall, the majority of it's very similar. But I don't know what the key issues for the Lexus community are, because I'm not an avid Lexus driver. I generally know what's going on with Volkswagens, Audis, and Hondas, because I always loved Hondas. Even though I don't own any right now, I still love the old Civic hatchbacks, and I've owned quite a few Preludes. So, but I feel like I'm not including enough details as far as the tear down of the engine, because like when I forgot to put a screw in the exhaust cam, because it's a 2-piece camshaft, on the driver's side or the left side cylinder head. I did it on the right side because I freaking realized I forgot to do it on the left side after I had taken it apart. So when I went to take the right side apart, I saw from where I screwed up on the left side, and I went ahead and did it ahead of time. It's not that big of a deal, but it is little details like that I want to try and include in these videos, so that people don't get messed up in their if they're trying to use these videos as source material for repairing an issue that they're experiencing. So I'm going to try and be much more detailed with the assembly of this engine, and we'll just go from there. All right, guys, so what we're getting ready to do is we're going to install the cylinder heads on here. So we're going to wipe down the top of the block, get it completely clean, wipe down the bottom of the head, get it completely clean. And I just want to point out that these gaskets for this for the set that we have, I don't know if it's specific for this engine or if it's just for this gasket set, but the cylinder head gaskets are marked for left and right. So just be aware of that. All right, guys, so we just got done wiping the cylinder head down, and the top of the block. Put the gasket on here, and the reason that these are side specific, I just looked over the gasket, and essentially what the difference is this oil port right here. So that does make them side specific. If it wasn't for that hole, I think they would work on either side. I could be wrong, but from what I'm seeing, that's what the difference is that oil port right there. And now that we've got the gasket on here, everything's clean. We're gonna go ahead and set the head on here, put the new head bolts, and you absolutely have to replace the head bolts because these are torque to yield bolts, which means the bolts stretch when you tighten them. They are one-time use bolts only. So definitely replace your head bolts. All right, guys, so we have installed all the new head bolts. We had to reuse the original washers, but the bolts are new. And what I did was oiled the bolts before I put them into the head, ran them down till they touched, and now they are torqued to 24 foot-pounds, starting in the center. So you start here, tighten that one to 24, that one to 24. All these get tightened to 24 in the first step. So it starts here, 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 there, 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 there. So just do a crisscross pattern. I may have messed that up. I can't remember. I had the book in front of me when I was doing it. But now that they are torqued to 24 foot-pounds, we're going to do 90-degree turn on every one of the bolts in sequence again. And then once we get all of them turned 90 degrees in sequence one more time, then we're going to do it another time. So you got to do it 2 separate 90-degree turns going through the entire sequence. Then your bolts are torqued. All right, just wanted to give you a little update on what we've done to the motor so far. And the timing belt is just sitting there because I didn't want to leave it in the box. We've put the new tensioner pulley on, new idler pulley on, new oil pump, new water pump. The heads are reinstalled. We're getting ready to do the camshafts. We're going to do the camshafts this evening, and we're also going to do the water crossover pipes front and back. And I don't know if we'll get to the intake, but we might. No, we're not going to get to the intake because I want to mount the starter and the transmission and shit before I put the intake on here. So, yeah. But yeah, this is where it sits right now. The whole bottom end's back together. Top end is most of the way back together. We just got to put the cams back in it, replace the camshaft sprocket seals, reseal it, and put the valve covers on. Then we'll set the timing, put all the front of the engine components back on here, and have it buttoned up, except for the intake. Okay, guys, so I had the whole right side head together, and I thought I could pull the VVT solenoid off the front to replace the cam seal that goes right here. But apparently Toyota wanted to screw me again. I don't know these engines like I do Audi, so it was a little bit of a surprise. But you gotta tear the camshaft apart. So it has to be removed because the cam seal goes right here. This is your front camshaft journal. Then you have this sprocket that is fitted onto here. And then the whole assembly is fitted onto the end of the camshaft. And that's what allows it to rock back and forth to do the variable timing. But you got to remove the stupid camshaft in order to replace the camshaft seal, which I'm fine with, but then you got to disassemble the camshaft and you got to remove this freaking gear because they made it to where the seal doesn't fit over top of the gear. So just my little gripe about this. There's the camshaft seal. So put the camshaft seal on there, put it back together. I'll set it into the head and get the depth on it set correctly. Then I'll put the front bearing cap back on and the rest of the bearing journals and get this thing buttoned up. All right, guys, so all of your bearing caps for your camshafts get torqued down to 144 inch-pounds, except for 2 bolts on this right-hand head, and that'll be this front bolt right here. And where is it? So it's that one and that one. Yeah, so those get torqued to 69 inch-pounds. All the rest of them get torqued to 144 inch-pounds or 12 foot-pounds. For the left-hand cylinder, you have all of the All the bolts get tightened down to 144 inch-pounds except for the inside bolt. So it would be this bolt, but on the other head. So, all right, so at this point, the engine, we've done the entire bottom end is complete. The oil pump has been replaced, oil pans resealed, lower oil pans resealed. Water pump's been installed. Both cylinder heads have been installed with new head bolts, torque to spec. The driver's side has had both cams installed, all the spacers for the valves in between the cam lobes and the valves. All those have been installed. Cams have been installed. New camshaft seal on the intake cam on the driver's side. Went to put the passenger side head together, and apparently our seal kit is missing the cam seal, so we can't finish putting that head together until we get that cam seal. So once we get the cam seal, we'll get that put together. Went ahead and put the driver's side valve cover on, and that's basically where we've stopped. So we had to order the cam seal, so it's probably going to be a couple days before we can get the cam seal. And I can't, I mean I can, but I don't want to try and work on the wiring while the head is not completely assembled. So, and I don't have the intake manifold on there, and I don't want to put the intake manifold on there until I can bolt the starter in and leave the starter bolted in place, because I don't want to have to friggin' remove it. But anyway, but we're basically at a standstill until we get the other cam seal. Once we get the other cam seal, I'll pick back up with replacing or putting the timing back together, and putting the top half of the water pump back on, putting the oil filter adapter on, because we haven't put that back on. We replaced the oil pump, but we haven't reinstalled the oil filter tube. And then putting all the timing covers and all that stuff back together, putting the VVT solenoids back in and whatnot. I'll cover all that. But that's basically going to be, I mean, that is where we're at on the build. So yeah, once we get that done, once we get the motor reassembled, which I'm hoping that we'll have it reassembled by next weekend, not this 4th of July weekend, but the following weekend. I'm hoping we'll have everything complete on the engine as far as building it back together, changing the flywheel, changing the flex plate over to a flywheel for the manual, trying to figure out what we're going to do. I'll go ahead and mount the bell housing temporarily, and I'll mount the starter temporarily to make sure that everything's going to fit with the flywheel, get all that working, temporarily mount the bell housing, and get some measurements for the input shaft and everything, and see what we can do about either manufacturing a spacer or an adapter plate for the AR5 transmission to the 1UZ bell housing, or if we can purchase one. I found one place online that says that they have them, but it was a bulk buy, so I don't know if they still have any single units, or if they ever even did sell single units. So I'll have to reach out to them and see. But if not, I mean, I'm a machine service tech by trade, so I can get somebody. If I do a CAD drawing for a freaking adapter plate, I can probably get one of the companies I go and work at to mill it out for me, as long as I pay them for it. So, but anyway, I'm going to try and get the hopefully in the next video I'll have the wiring harness cleaned up and completely affixed to the engine, to where all I'll have to do is set the engine in the car and plug the wiring right into the ECU, and everything's ready to rock and roll. I won't have to have any additional wires added once the engine's in the car. But I'm hoping to get all the wiring sorted on the motor, because we'll have the motor completely reassembled, and then get the flywheel and clutch and everything on there, and start seeing where the input shaft needs to wind up and all that. And then after that, if we get the transmission and all that stuff fit, that would probably be that end of that video. And then I'll get into modifying what I'm going to do with the ABS, because it's been recommended by a couple people, because I've been talking on a couple forums, and I think I've had a comment on one of my videos regarding this, that a lot of people relocate their battery into the trunk. And I mean, yes, I can do that, and I mean, I've done it on plenty of cars. I don't like doing it. I actually hate having the battery in the trunk, for no other reason other than when you try to jump it, it's a pain in the ass. And running that freaking battery cable, I hate running that battery cable, because it's just, you can't run it next to anything else. You don't need to run it in. It needs to be run on the exterior of the freaking car, but it still needs to be protected from the elements. I hate putting battery in the trunk. So I'm going to try and avoid doing that. My own personal preference. Some of you guys may actually not be bothered by it, but I don't like having the battery in the trunk. Whatever. But I'm going to see if I can get away with leaving the battery up front and reposition the ABS position, or the ABS module, up where the airbox normally sits, because we're planning on running a short ram intake on this thing, so we're not going to have the factory airbox on it. Now I may see if I can make the factory airbox fit and fabricate something to make it to where it doesn't interfere with the ABS control module, but I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get to that point. But yeah, if y'all like this video, please, like always, like, comment, share, subscribe, let your friends see what I'm doing, and thanks for watching, and have a great day.